What's going on, people? Welcome back to On the Ball and welcome back to another review show where we review all of the Premier League's weekend fixtures. Ben is not with us today, but we do have Brian Daigle in the house, who is a worthy substitute. Hope you're doing well, Brian. Thank you for joining me on today's review show. Obviously, Ben and I predicted every single Premier League result going into this weekend, and the scores going into it were 220 to me, 216 to Ben. And we'll start off with Thursday night's M25 derby, Crystal Palace versus Brighton. It did finish 1-1. Ben did predict 1-1. I predicted 2-1 to Crystal Palace. Probably a fair result. Obviously, Palace leading the game for the majority of it after a mistake from Brighton at the back that allowed Jordan Ayew to score after a great ball from Michael Olise. Brighton did equalise late on through Danny Welbeck after a lot of sustained pressure, but I think this result has been 1-1 for like 5 years in a row, so I don't know why I didn't just predict 1-1. Ben saw it coming. Did you see much of this game, Brian?
I did. Do you know what? It's been a weekend of great headers, hasn't it? Solanke got a couple of great ones, and Welbeck's was another great one. It's those lovely, like, placed headers with a bit of loop in it. It's a great equalising goal against impressive Dean Henderson.
Yeah, definitely a really great looping header, and I think it was probably a good reward for Brighton to get that result after a lot of pressure in that second half. But Brighton still can't seem to generate any sort of consistency this season. 1 win in 5. They're sitting in 9th of the table, albeit 5 points above Chelsea still, but who are in 10th. But what do you think of, where do you see Brighton this season? Do you think just Europa League has scuppered them a bit in terms of maybe improving on last season's league results? Or do you think maybe things are catching up with them a bit from after a really great last season?
Well, I really wish you hadn't started that how you started it, saying struggling to find some form, because you know who they got on Thursday.
I do.
It would just so happen to be. Yeah, listen, we've seen this before when people that don't normally qualify for Europe go into it, the strain that it has on the team, on the squad. And I think Brighton are struggling to cope with both. But they're still playing some good stuff. Yet, like you said, they are just struggling for that consistency, aren't they?
Yeah, to be fair, they are only 3 points off 6, so not all terrible for Brighton, to be fair. Exactly. From Palace's point of view, should probably disappointed not to win this one, having led for so long. But Palace now no win in their last 5 games. And they're only now, at this point, with Luton having a game in hand on them, they're 6 points clear of the relegation zone. Obviously, Luton having that game in hand after the Bournemouth game got called off. So is there any fear for you that they could get dragged into it a bit at the bottom?
I think once they've got Eze back playing regularly, like Elise is back, they'll be fine. But they ended last season incredibly, didn't they? And they just haven't been able to continue that kind of form. They've gone back to the Palace of Vieira recently. But yeah, I don't think there's any concerns with them.
I agree. I think Olise and Eze, them together, they're just so good. I think if they have them on the pitch together enough times, they should be okay. But I think there's still like maybe at the back of their mind, I think they're thinking a bit of a concern that they could be dragged into it. But anyway, Ben got 5 points for that, so he moves ahead 2-1 to 2-20. Moving on to Friday night, Villa with a shock draw at home to Sheffield United 1-1. Sheffield United actually took the lead in the 87th minute, but Villa equalising in the 97th minute, grabbing a draw. Obviously, for a lot of this game, it was one-way traffic. Villa much on top for a lot of the game without really being able to break the door down. But I think from Villa's point of view, it was a tale of a lot of VAR decisions going against them in this game. They feel at least 2 penalties they should have had. And then there was a big controversy in the goal. Did you see the goal, Brian? Because
I haven't seen either goals, but one.
I'll just describe why the goal got chalked off, and you can have your reaction to it. So a corner comes in. If Villa have a corner, it comes in. Jacob Ramsey is fouling him. He's holding onto the keeper's arm, but the referee doesn't see it. The ball then gets cleared by Sheffield United. Then George Baldock of Sheffield United has control of the ball. He brings the ball out of the penalty area, and as he's looking for a pass to start a counter-attack, his pass gets intercepted. and Villa then obviously regain the ball on the edge of the box, and Watkins squares it to Leon Bailey, and they go on to score. VAR then takes 4 minutes looking at the original corner that was given, foul, and a judge that there was a foul at that corner, and decided to rule out the goal. But a lot of people are saying that should have been adjudged at a different phase of play because Sheffield United had regained the ball already. So that would have put Villa 1-0 up and probably would have been a different game if that happens. Villa were frustrated for a lot of this game. Sheffield United obviously defending very deeply and frustrating Villa for a lot of the game. And then obviously Sheffield United themselves got the lead and they looked for all the world to see they might go on and take 3 points. But obviously Villa did get that last gasp equaliser to save themselves. And actually at the time in speaking, they're 1 point off top spot now with 1 point behind Arsenal. So, but just judging by how I described that goal, for you, would you be very frustrated if that was given against you?
Yeah, as you were saying, going through the build-up, it sounded like it's a different phase of play, and that's the phrase I was going to use. It is. We see this with penalties as well, haven't we? We've seen this sometimes with offsides. It's a different phase of play where that was. It's just another kind of comical error, or even at blurred lines with VAR and no one understanding the actual the rules anymore. It's come to this point now where managers, players, pundits, fans like us are just absolutely bamboozled by what the actual rules are. We have no idea. I think they have no idea. It's getting out of hand now. I think there needs to be a major review of what it's used for, how it's used, and when it's used. But away from that, I'm going to put it out. I've said for a while, or thought for a while, I love Cameron Archer. I think Sheffield United have got a real find there. I wouldn't mind keeping a close eye on him and maybe one day a future Spurs player, because I think he could, in an Ange, we keep saying this, in an Ange team, I think there's something about that Cameron Archer. I think Sheffield United have done very well to get him.
Yeah, and he's having a fairly decent season. From Villa's point of view, though, there was a real chance to put a lot of pressure on Arsenal and Liverpool if they'd beaten Sheffield United. Obviously, they lost their 100% home record. It's incredible. They beat City, beat Arsenal at home, and they have a 100% record, winning 8 out of 8, and then they lose it to bottom of the league, Sheffield United. So for you, I mean, how damaging of a draw is this going to be for Villa, do you think?
Well, this is the thing, Tim. The last few weeks, I've been saying Villa are a major threat to us, a major threat to full spot, because you think that City, Arsenal, and Liverpool are going to be top three, or in the top four. They're three of the top four. And correctly, look, you both went for a clean sheet and a convincing win, and you'd have every right to think that after 15 back-to-back straight Premier League wins, confident-wise, who would have thought it'd be the bottom team and newest manager, apart from Nuno, obviously. It's a crazy one. We'll have to wait and see. This is when you see how Villa, if they mean business, how they regroup and recover from this. A draw is certainly better than getting defeated, but I would never have thought they'd lose it to Sheffield United.
Yeah, it's a good point, because obviously they could have easily lost when they conceded after 87 minutes, but they did rally late on. I just feel like Villa, these are the type of games they do struggle when their team does sit deep and tries to frustrate them. They're not as good as when teams like City and Arsenal come at them and leave that space in the transition, and they can be super quick and direct and open up the opposition. Then when a team's sitting deep and they're asking Villa to break them down, I feel like that's where they're found wanting a bit. And I think there was quite a bit of evidence of that in this game, albeit I do think they were a bit unlucky with some VAR decisions. But it finished 1-1. Both of them, Ben, went for convincing win, so no points there. Next up, West Ham 2, Manchester United 0 at the Olympic Stadium, the London Stadium, sorry. I went for 3-1 to West Ham. Ben went for 2-1, so we both get a point. Brilliant win for West Ham, who are up to 6th now, and I've criticised West Ham quite a bit this season for some of the football they've played, but I don't think I can really complain about the position they're in. Moyes has got a right to say, look, I'm in 6th place, I'm through in the Europa League, like we're having a pretty good season, and can't really argue too much, although I would say they've got a really good team now, West Ham. I really like some of their forward players, obviously Bowen and Kudus scoring the winners. But what do we make of Man United, Brian? 8th in the league, now 8 points off top 4. Really not convincing performance yet again, especially away from home.
Yeah.
Struggled to break down this West Ham team, and then West Ham hit them, sucker punch them in that second half. I mean, how long does Ten Hag have left? And let me give you a stat as well, just to compound this. Man United in 18 games, they have scored 18 goals this season in 18 games.
Yeah.
And just to put that in perspective, only Sheffield United have scored less.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it gets worse than that. It's apparently this is their lowest scoring run for 21 years.
It's 4 games without a goal, I believe, as well.
They've had literally, I think this is one of the other stats, that they've now lost more games in a single season than they have in the last 15. And it says something. I mean, West Ham can always be a force on their day. But when you two or anyone are literally, a lot of people are going into games now saying, Man U are going to struggle. This is a world that I grew up knowing that Man U win, Man U win, Man U win. This is ridiculous. And you mentioned two, Paqueta in the last few games. That three, they did a special bit on Match of the Day yesterday about the three and how they changing positions with Bowen and Kudus. The second goal from Kudus is a great finish. All right, the 16-year-old defender makes a mistake. But West Ham, and then you add James Ward-Prowse to this, they're a good team. They are a good team, and the result is a very, very good one. And yeah, Man U are in all kinds of mess. Every single week for the last 3-4 weeks, I've been like, surely that's bye-bye Ten Hag. Surely that's bye-bye. But who knows, maybe Jim Ratcliffe has other ideas when we've just been given, or I've just seen that he's now been confirmed. He's just got to pass the director's test or whatever it may be. Then I think there's going to be wholesale changes at Manchester United. So do they stick with Ten Hag, or do they say, right, you're gone, and time will tell. But if results don't turn around soon, I think it's bye-bye Ten Hag.
Yeah, I think that ownership is probably the only thing saving him right now. So, because to be honest, you compare him from last season. Obviously, they finished third, they won the Carabao, and they're looking to push on. And then halfway through the following season, you've got 18 goals in 18 games. I mean, that's not acceptable. And I understand, some Man United fans are saying it's a project, it's a process, all these kind of things, but for that to work, you need to see progress. You need to see an upward trajectory. You need to see the team learning, building, and they seem to be going backwards. They haven't scored in 4 of their last 5 games. They haven't scored. That's disgusting. If you're a Man United, like how can you not get a goal at all? I mean, that's got to be a massive problem, of a managerial problem. They've got good forward players. They got players who can definitely score goals, but they can't seem to put it in the back of the net at the moment. And if you're a big club like that, there's no excuse for that.
No, I mean, there seems that the team just drop heads. I mean, I still, and long may this continue, but I don't know how Bruno Fernandes is captain of that football club. If you're looking for a man to rally the troops and to be a guide and inspiration, a Roy Keane or a Vieira or Terry or a King, I would not look at Bruno Fernandes. They are just a sorry mess, a real mess, and you just can't. I can't see when Scott McTominay's your top goal scorer, now captain. When Fernandes isn't there, you can see that things aren't right. Things are so wrong at United. It's ridiculous.
100%. So 1 point for me and Ben. Next up is Fulham at home to Burnley. Burnley won the game 2-0. Brilliant goals from Aubert and from Sander Berge outside the box, giving Burnley the 2-0 win. Really timely victory for Burnley and Vincent Kompany, who obviously haven't been on great form the whole season, currently still sitting in 19th. They did beat Sheffield United 5-0 a few weeks back, but then didn't really capitalise on that morale-boosting victory. But going away to an informed Fulham team and taking all 3 points is definitely showed signs of them maybe showing some sort of form. Really disappointing for Fulham, though, to lose at home 2-0 to Burnley, but really great result. And I don't know if you saw some of the Burnley goals, really great finishes as well.
Not just great finish. I mean, with Fulham as well, the Burnley had the added bonus of not playing midweek, whereas Fulham obviously had Everton in the Carabao Cup. Listen, Burnley have played some great football. Burnley have played some good stuff. They've just been a little bit naive and not been able to get the rub of the green. Well, yesterday they did. Like you said, it's a free scoring Fulham recently. And full marks to Kompany for getting a result like that to one of the informed teams in the league.
Yeah, 100%. Really, really good result. Takes them to only 3 points behind Forest in 17. So maybe there is light at the end of the tunnel here for Burnley in terms of staying up. But who's still in between them and Fulham is Luton, who are up next. They beat Newcastle 1-0. I predicted 1-0. Ben predicted 2-1 to Newcastle, so I got a 5-pointer for this one. Brilliant result for Luton on the day. Andros Townsend scoring the winner off the back of the corner. Newcastle's miserable away form continuing here at Kenilworth Road. And to be fair, Luton have made things very, very difficult at home for even a lot of the big boys. And I kind of predicted that, they gave Man City and Arsenal a really tough ride when they went to Kenilworth Road, and I thought they would give Newcastle a big game, and that's what they did. They win 1-0. They're now only 2 points out behind Forest in the relegation zone, but Newcastle just can't seem to be getting a result away from home at the moment.
I think more of this, and I think a lot of credit needs to go to Rob Edwards and Luton Town Football Club, not just for what they've had to deal with this week. I think we all thought they're going to get the worst amount of points. They're going to be absolute cannon fodder. They're going to be absolutely smashed. They were superb against Newcastle. It could have been a lot more. That shot from Barkley off the crossbar. Barkley had a great game. They played some great stuff yesterday. Should have been more. But like you said, Ben, Newcastle just cannot get the rub of the green right now. Another injury I think they got with Lascelles. They just, it's all falling down for them and they can't buy it. But you know what? Even if they had not got that injury, Luton fully justified for that win yesterday. A terrific performance, and well done you for getting it spot on.
Yeah, very brilliant prediction for me on this time round. And actually, just to quickly touch on it, was a brilliant weekend for all the bottom three. Luton winning, Burnley winning, and Sheffield United getting a draw away at Villa. So a lot of people were saying that the relegation scrap was all but wrapped up nearly, because all those three teams didn't seem to be able to buy a win. But there's a reason why they're all still alive, and it's because of the next team we're going to talk about, and that's Nottingham Forest. They lost 3-2 at home to Bournemouth. I predicted 2-1 to Bournemouth. Ben predicted 2-0, so we both get 1 point for that one. And they've really been dragged into the relegation scrap now, only 2 points above the relegation zone. They were definitely hampered in this game because of a very controversial red card I felt from Willy Bolly. I felt that second yellow was a disgrace from the referee. I think Bolly gets fouled, if anything. He clearly wins the ball and then gets stamped on by Adam Smith, and the referee decides to give him a second yellow, which I thought was an atrocious decision. Unfortunately for Forest, that went against them, but they didn't lack fight. Elanga gives them the lead before Solanke, a quick double from him, a brilliant header, and then a poacher's effort put them 2-1 up. And then looked like Forest had grabbed an unlikely point, even with 10 men. Wood with a header from a corner. But Solanke rose like a salmon yet again in this one, and with a second brilliant header into the corner, Matt Turner couldn't keep it out. To be fair to Bournemouth, brilliant. What unbelievable form they're on. I think it's 6 wins out of 7 now for them. So they're really charging up the table. But it was Nuno Espirito Santo's first game. Do you think there were signs of life there for Forest, or signs of worry?
First of all, Steve Cooper should never have got the sack. I think it's a disgrace from Forest. And when you look at, since being promoted, 42 players have come in. No manager can deal with that. That's just no one can deal with that amount of new incomings. Then moving on, I mean, when Espirito Santos came out, one of the Spurs' big Twitter accounts said, "Okay, who's going to be the first to say it? Nuno's going to make Forest," and I then said a championship team, because I honestly think that's where they're going. The other thing, VAR. This came in, and we were told this was for obvious mistakes, obvious errors. I hate this rule that if it's a yellow card, the referee can't go and look at this, because that was never. It should be a yellow card for the blooming Bournemouth player, let alone a red card, a second yellow for Willy Bolly. But Dominic Solanke is in the form of his life, isn't he? They again, Match Today was saying that they've been saying, can he do it in the Premier League? Well, something's clicked this season, and Bournemouth were on the verge of sacking their manager. And like you said, what a run of form they are on, and they're not just winning games; they are playing very, very well. They destroyed United at Old Trafford. I love Bournemouth. I think for such a small club, it's so good to see small clubs like that doing well, and fair play to them. And in Dominic Solanke at the moment, they've got a red hot striker.
Yeah, and I believe that he's with his hat trick. He's now on 11 Premier League goals this season, which is only behind Haaland and level with Heung-min Son. So what a brilliant season he's having. Maybe an outside shot of the England squad come the summer. Maybe. Who knows?
He carries on like that.
Yeah, I don't see why not. He's outdoing most other England strikers right now. But yeah, Forest, a poor defeat on Nuno's first game, but he'll take some heart with how they played with 10 men and nearly fought for a point. Going to the Tottenham Stadium, and Spurs beat Everton 2-1. I predicted 2-0. Ben predicted 2-1, so he gets a 5-pointer here. Obviously, was a really hard-fought victory for Spurs, but 100% they got a bit of the rub of the green here in terms of the chances Everton missed. Spurs did go 2-0 up early on in the game in the first 18 minutes, starting like a house on fire with 2 goals from Richarlison and from Heung-min Son. But Everton definitely huffed and puffed. They got back in the game through Andre Gomez late on and were really unlucky not to get an equaliser. Again, another controversial VAR decision with Calvert-Lewin's goal being ruled out. But very much Everton will be leaving disappointed they didn't get at least a point here.
Yeah, there's not much more you can say to that, can you? Brilliant to get the 3 points. Brilliant to be in the top 4 for Christmas. Everton have got to take a lot. They should take a lot of heart and credit from that performance, especially as we mentioned earlier, and you brought up Gomez, who hasn't played a minute for a long, long time, came on. I thought it was magnificent. We got away with it. We rode our luck, and thanks to Big Vic, we sit there with the 3 points, and Ben takes 5 points.
He does that late consolation, getting Ben the points, which I'm sure he probably wasn't happy about at the time, but come full time, I'm sure he'll be delighted with it. So we actually move level, 228 each. We go to Anfield. What was the late game on Saturday? It finished Liverpool 1, Arsenal 1. Ben predicted 1-1, so he gets another 5 points. I predicted 2-1 Liverpool, and you know what? If it wasn't for that late chance missed by Alexander-Arnold, it might well have been 2-1 when they had he had a 5-on-1 at the back. It was definitely a massive tactical battle, wasn't it, Anfield? Really engrossing game. I think 1-1 was probably a fair result on the balance of play. It was obviously first versus second going to the game, but I think Arsenal will probably be happy with the point here at Anfield.
Oh, yeah, without that, especially after Odegaard's double dribble. I mean, handball. That again, this is where I just don't understand handball anymore. How clear of a handball do you want to get? And do you know what? You mentioned Trent Alexander-Arnold. It had a bubble, but I love this player. And again, Match Today did it as well. His passing range and the evolution of his game to now becoming more midfield, but starting a right back. He was brilliant, and the grass he set up to get there for that shot that hit the bar. Was insane. But listen, we all were praying for a draw or a Liverpool win, and we got the best option of the lot, which was a draw.
Yeah, and incredible after that. Tottenham only sit 4 points off the top, which is incredible to think about. But yeah, I think Liverpool definitely had the chances to win the game. Arsenal, you would argue, Martinelli had that big chance in the first half as well. They could have scored a goal. But yeah, I thought Trent was probably my man of the match. I thought it was exceptional throughout the game. But Arsenal going to Anfield and getting a point, definitely adds to their title credentials, keeps them top of the league for Christmas. So really good point for them. But still all to play for. There's only 1 point between them and Liverpool. So really open title race at the moment. But it was a really good tactical battle at Anfield. The last game of the weekend was Wolves versus Chelsea. It did finish 2-1 to Wolves. Me and Ben both going 1-1. And Chelsea's poor form continues, really. They just can't seem to get any sort of consistency under Mauricio Pochettino at the moment. It was they had that moment in the first half. Sterling goes through 1-on-1. He has a 3-on-1, him versus the keeper, and Jackson and Palmer to his right. He goes himself, keeper ends up making the save. And then Fulham, Wolves end up taking the lead soon after in the second half. Mario Lemina goal from a corner. Matt Doherty adding a second in stoppage time. But Chelsea did, put Wolves under pressure, and Kunku getting a late consolation. But they just couldn't end up getting the equaliser and end up with another loss. And how much pressure now is Pochettino under for you?
A huge amount. First of all, the Raheem Sterling miss, like you said, that's going to come back and haunt him. When there's other players available, as soon as I saw him going 1-on-1, the form Raheem Sterling has been in, you thought goal all day long. Sarr did very, very well with the save. But yeah, Mauricio Pochettino. All I will say to Chelsea fans, and one in particular that's in the studio with you, is we know firsthand that 6 months, all right, we weren't as bad as this, but in the second 6 months of his first season, it seemed to click and start happening. It's just whether Poch is going to be given that time, and I don't think he will.
Yeah, at the moment, I mean, well, look, Chelsea managers previously don't usually get that time, but there's been so much chopping and changing at Chelsea over the last 18 months or so. Maybe they just need a bit of stability. But I tell you something, the fans are 100% turning on him from what I can see.
Yeah.
Like, they're definitely not happy. A lot of fans calling for his head. So if this form continues to slide, if there's not an upturn in the next, five matches or so, I don't know how much more pressure you can take. We'll have to, and also I have to say, and I mean, obviously no manager likes losing, but he does not cut a happy figure on that touchline. To be honest, he does seem to be getting frustrated with some situations. So it's difficult at the moment to see a good how this ends well for Chelsea or for Pochettino at Chelsea. But look, he has to turn it around. He has to turn it around quick. On the other hand, Gary Neal, a brilliant win for them. They into 11th, level on points with Chelsea, actually, Gary Neal. So great win for Wolves going into Christmas, and he's doing a great job, isn't he?
He's doing a fantastic job. We said it again when we were doing the match review earlier on today. I think Gary O'Neill, especially with some of the VAR decisions that have gone against Wolves, they're the ones that should be really hard done by this season. Plus the FFP, plus getting rid of Neves. We talk about Kane. They lost their version of Kane. They lost the other guy to Manchester City. He's doing an incredible job there. He's doing a really, really good job there. And when it comes to Poch, their next home game, if they go 1-0 down, oh my God, Stamford Bridge is going to be a joy to see for us, but not a joy to see for Chelsea fans. I think he's hanging by a thread.
They play Palace in midweek at home, which seems like a game which expect them to win, but they will have to do without Palmer and Sterling, who both picked up their 5th yellow cards in this game. So 2 of their main weapons will be out. It will be a difficult game, but then again, Nkunku did come on for his debut and scored. So maybe there is signs that he can fill that gap. We'll go to the star men now for this weekend. I picked Richarlison, who obviously got a goal, so I get 5 points there. Ben picked Iwobi, who didn't do anything. So the scores are completely deadlocked again, 233 each. It's completely neck and neck between me and Ben going into the midweek predictions. But yeah, look, that is all for our review show. Appreciate you, Brian Daigle, coming on and joining us. We'll see you all very soon for the preview show, which will be out tomorrow. Like, subscribe and comment, and we'll see you next time.